Commander Elena Reyes couldn't tear her eyes away from the giant screen showing the alien message. The bridge of her ship was dead silent. Everyone held their breath as the strange, clicking language was translated into English. The words that appeared made her blood run cold. Humans of Earth. Your planet now belongs to the Vauri Empire. Surrender all military control within 1 Earth day, or we will begin extermination procedures. This is not a negotiation. Elena's second-in-command, Lieutenant Park, whispered what everyone was thinking. They came out of nowhere. It was true, 3 days ago the massive ships had simply appeared in Earth's orbit. No warning from deep space monitors, no gradual approach. They had technology that let them jump through space itself. Over 30 ships, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built. Earth's combined space fleet consisted of just 12 military vessels, most designed for patrolling the solar system. Their weapons were made to handle pirates and smugglers, not an alien invasion. Elena knew the cold truth. They couldn't win in a direct fight. The Vauri commander on screen wasn't even humanoid. It had 6 limbs and skin that looked like polished metal. Its face had no nose, just breathing slits, and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. When it spoke, a double row of sharp teeth flashed. "Commander, they're sending another message," called out Communications Officer Rodriguez. "They want an answer." The Joint Chiefs of Staff on Earth were still arguing about what to do. Some wanted to try diplomacy. Others suggested immediate surrender to buy time. A few even thought they should launch every nuclear weapon on Earth at the alien ships, though the scientists said that wouldn't even dent their shields. But Elena was the one facing the aliens directly. As commander of the UNS Defender, Earth's flagship, the decision fell to her in this moment. She thought about her home in the mountains of Chile. Her father had taught her about the indigenous Mapuche people who had resisted the Spanish conquistadors centuries ago. When faced with a superior enemy, he'd told her, "Your greatest weapon is your spirit. Never surrender that." Elena stood up straight. "Open a channel," she ordered. Rodriguez's fingers flew over the controls. "Channel open, Commander." The bridge crew watched as Elena stepped forward. She didn't look afraid, though she felt fear coursing through her body. Instead, she lifted her chin and stared directly at the alien commander. "This is Commander Elena Reyes of the United Earth Defense Fleet. I've received your message and have a response." She paused, making sure her voice wouldn't shake. "Humanity does not bend to threats." She signaled Rodriguez to cut the transmission. "Commander," Lieutenant Park said quietly, "they outgun us in every way. Their technology is at least a century beyond ours." Elena nodded. "I know, but giving up our planet without a fight isn't an option." She turned to face her crew. Their faces showed fear, but also determination. "Send word to all Earth governments and military commands," she ordered. "Tell them to prepare for war. The Vauri think we'll be easy to conquer because they have better ships and weapons, but they don't know humans. They don't know what we're capable of when fighting for our homes and families." Outside the viewports, the massive alien ships hung in Earth's orbit like metal predators. They had no idea what they had just started. "They attacked us," Elena said quietly. "Now they'll see what happens next." The sky burned red over Jakarta. Dr. Wei Chen crawled through what used to be the main control room of Earth's largest military command center in Southeast Asia. Smoke filled his lungs as he pushed aside broken concrete and twisted metal. His hands were bleeding, but he didn't feel the pain. He was focused on only one thing, reaching the central data cores before they completely melted down. The Vauri attack had come exactly 6 hours after Commander Reyes's defiant message. They didn't waste time with warnings. Bright beams of energy shot down from their ships, hitting every major military base on Earth at the same exact moment. The precision was terrifying. "Dr. Chen, we need to leave now," shouted Lieutenant Amara, one of the few survivors from the command staff. "The structural supports won't hold much longer." "2 more minutes," Chen called back, finally reaching the damaged server room. The heat was almost unbearable, but the cooling systems had done their job just long enough. He pulled a specialized drive from his pocket and plugged it into the main terminal. Above them, through the partially collapsed roof, they could see one of the massive Vauri ships hovering. It hadn't moved since firing its weapon, just watching, waiting. That was the strangest part of the attack. The aliens had only targeted military installations, command centers, missile silos, naval bases, airfields. No civilian targets. Not a single major city had been hit. Some people called it mercy, but military strategists knew better. The Vari wanted Earth intact. They wanted its resources, its infrastructure, its people, probably as workers or worse. "Download complete," Chen said, yanking the drive free just as the terminal sparked and died. "This data might be our only chance." As they escaped the crumbling building, Chen and Amara saw other survivors emerging from the rubble. Soldiers helping the wounded. Officers trying to establish communications with other bases. No one was giving up. News reports flooded in from around the world. The story was the same everywhere. Moscow Defense Headquarters, destroyed. The Pentagon, a smoking crater. Military bases in Germany, South Africa, Brazil, Australia, all precisely targeted and eliminated within minutes. Yet in the cities near these bases, civilians watched in horror but remained physically untouched. The aliens were sending a message: resist and be destroyed. 3 days after the attacks, world leaders received another transmission from the Vari commander. Its metallic voice seemed almost bored. Your military capability has been neutralized. Your defensive technology is primitive. Surrender now, and your civilian population will be spared and integrated into the Vari Empire as a protected species. In underground bunkers and hidden facilities, Earth's remaining military leaders gathered to assess the situation. The Vari had indeed crippled most of their conventional forces. But they had missed something crucial. Dr. Chen stood before the emergency council, his bandaged hands carefully holding the drive he'd rescued. "The Vari believe they've demonstrated their superiority," he said, connecting the drive to the projection system. "They expect us to give up now, but they've made a critical mistake." The screen lit up with complex energy readings and weapon signatures captured during the attack on Jakarta. Their weapons systems operate on predictable energy frequencies, Chen explained, and more importantly, their defensive shields appear to have specific vulnerabilities that we might be able to exploit. They aren't invincible. General Rivera, one of the few high-ranking officers to survive the initial assault, leaned forward. "You're saying we can fight back?" Chen nodded. "The Vari don't understand humans very well. They think destroying our bases means destroying our will to fight. They don't realize that we're at our most dangerous when backed into a corner." Around the world, as people emerged from the shock of the attacks, something unexpected happened. Instead of panic and surrender, a quiet determination spread. Humans began to organize, to adapt, to plan. The Vari had shown their hand too early. The aliens had attacked with surgical precision, but they hadn't cut deep enough to kill humanity's spirit, and that would be their downfall. The old iron mine shaft deep in the Ural Mountains hadn't been used in decades. Now it buzzed with activity. As people moved through the narrow tunnels, their faces lit by the soft blue glow of stolen Vari technology. The cold, damp air didn't bother them anymore. After 3 months, it had become home. Dr. Sonia Petrov wiped sweat from her forehead as she carefully peeled back another layer of the alien metal. Next to her, American engineer James Wilson adjusted the makeshift scanning equipment they'd assembled from salvaged parts. "There," Wilson whispered as the scanner picked up an energy signature. "That's the power conduit we've been looking for." 3 months ago, these two scientists would have been kept apart by political tensions and government restrictions. Now they worked side by side, united by something bigger than national identity: survival. Outside the hidden entrance to the mine, lookouts kept constant watch for Vari patrol ships. The aliens had established control points in every major city. Their massive ships hovering above government buildings and military bases they now used as their own. They thought they controlled Earth. They were wrong. Radio message coming in from the Nairobi cell called out Communications Officer Lee, his face half hidden behind a jury-rigged console built from parts of 3 different Earth computers, and a damaged Vari communications device. People gathered around as Lee adjusted the frequency. The voice that came through was scratchy but clear enough. "Ural base, this is Nairobi. Raid successful. We've secured 2 crates of alien weapons and a damaged scout ship. 3 casualties, but everyone made it back. The diversion in the city center worked perfectly. They never saw us coming from underground. A cheer went through the crowd. Small victories like this kept hope alive. Commander Reyes, who had survived the destruction of her ship and now led one of the largest resistance groups, stepped forward. "Tell them well done and to proceed with Operation Scatter. We need those parts distributed to the other cells." The resistance had learned quickly that centralized operations were too easy for the Vari to track and destroy. Instead, they formed hundreds of independent cells across the planet, each one operating on its own, but sharing information and resources through an ever-changing communications network. Some groups specialized in intelligence gathering, learning the patterns of Vari patrols. Others focused on supply raids or helping civilians escape from work camps. And a few, like the Ural Mountain Base, dedicated themselves to understanding alien technology. "I think I've got it," Dr. Petrov said, carefully extracting a crystal-like component from the alien device. "This is what controls their shield modulation. If we can understand how it works, we might be able to find a way through their defenses." The Vari had not expected this level of organized resistance. They had studied human military capabilities, but failed to grasp human resilience. And they certainly hadn't anticipated how quickly former enemies would unite against them. In this very mineshaft, Russian scientists worked alongside Americans. Chinese engineers collaborated with Taiwanese computer experts. Israeli and Palestinian fighters trained new recruits together. The old conflict seemed meaningless now. "Commander," Wilson called out, excitement in his voice, "we've managed to power up the navigation system from that crashed scout ship. And look what we found." He pointed to a holographic map that appeared above their workbench. It showed the positions of all major Vari vessels in Earth orbit and on the surface. "They're networked together," Petrov realized. "All their ships share positioning data in real time." Commander Reyes studied the map, her mind already working on possibilities. "Can they detect that we've accessed this?" "I don't think so," Wilson E. replied. "We're only receiving, not transmitting. As far as their system knows, this is just another damaged ship waiting for retrieval." A slow smile spread across Reyes's face. "This changes everything. Get word to all resistance cells. We now have eyes on their entire fleet." The Vari thought humans would be broken by now. They expected surrender, not innovation, not adaptation. But that's what humans did best when backed into a corner. They found ways to survive, to fight back. In the dim light of the underground base, hope glowed brighter than it had in months. The aliens had superior technology and weapons, but humans had something more powerful, the unbreakable will to be free. The resistance was just getting started. Dr. Wei Chen hadn't slept in nearly 48 hours. His eyes burned from staring at computer screens and alien technology for too long. The underground lab, hidden beneath the ruins of what used to be a shopping mall in Taipei, hummed with the sound of jury-rigged equipment. Most of the scientists had given up for the night, but Chen couldn't stop. He was close to something. He could feel it. "You should rest," said Dr. Nadia, pushing a cup of lukewarm coffee toward him. "You can't solve anything if you collapse." Chen took the coffee gratefully but shook his head. "I keep seeing the same pattern in their shield modulation. It's like they're deliberately avoiding certain frequencies." He pulled up the data they'd gathered from observed Vari shield tests. For 6 months, resistance cells around the world had been recording every piece of information they could about the aliens' technology. When the Vari tested their weapons or shields, hidden sensors captured the energy signatures. "Look here." Chen pointed to a gap in the energy spectrum. "Their shields are strongest against kinetic impacts and energy weapons in ranges we typically use. But there's this narrow band they seem to be protecting against differently." Nadia leaned closer. "That's in the electromagnetic spectrum, but not a range we use for weapons. It's too weak to cause physical damage." Chen nodded excitedly. "Exactly. So why protect against it so specifically?" He reached for a small device they'd recovered from a crashed Vari scout ship 3 weeks earlier. The resistance fighters had risked their lives to bring it back. It appeared to be some kind of personal shield generator, worn by Vari soldiers. "Hand me that frequency generator," he said, suddenly energized despite his exhaustion. Chen carefully connected the human-made frequency generator to the alien device and programmed it to emit electromagnetic radiation in the suspicious range he'd identified. Then he activated the Vari shield. The reaction was immediate and unexpected. The shield flickered violently and then shut down completely. But more surprisingly, the biological tissue samples they'd collected from a dead Vari soldier, kept in a sealed container nearby, visibly reacted, the cells contracting and changing color. "Oh my God," Nadia whispered, understanding dawning on her face. "It's not just their technology that's vulnerable to this frequency. It's the Vari themselves." Chen was already pulling up astronomical data about the Vari home system, which they'd learned about from captured data cores. Their home planet orbits binary stars, two suns with different radiation signatures. Their evolution would have been shaped by that environment. He turned to Nadia, excitement making him forget his exhaustion. Their nervous system must be sensitive to this exact frequency. It probably causes them pain or disorientation. That's why their shields specifically block it. Within hours, the entire lab was awake and working. By morning, they had constructed a crude prototype weapon, essentially a focused electromagnetic pulse generator tuned to the specific frequency that affected Vari biology. "The range is limited," Chen explained to the resistance leaders who had gathered to see the breakthrough. "Maybe 30 meters at most, and it won't penetrate their ship's main hulls, but it should disable their personal shields and disrupt their neural functions temporarily, enough to give our fighters a chance in close combat." Commander Reyes picked up the prototype. It looked like nothing more than a modified microwave emitter with extra power cells attached. "This is what we've been waiting for, a way to fight back." "We can make more," Chen said. "The components aren't that specialized. Every resistance cell could build these with the right instructions." For the first time since the invasion, they had found a true vulnerability in their seemingly invincible enemy. The Vari, with all their advanced technology, couldn't change their basic biology. The same binary star system that had given them life had also given them a weakness. "How soon can we test it against a live target?" asked Commander Reyes. Chen and Nadia exchanged looks. "The next Vari patrol passes 2 kilometers from here tomorrow night," Nadia said. "We could set up an ambush." Reyes nodded, a grim smile forming on her tired face. "Then it's time the Vari learned something about human ingenuity. They thought their technology made them gods among us. They're about to discover they're just mortals after all." The room buzzed with renewed hope. After months of hiding and merely surviving, they finally had a chance to truly fight back. Darkness covered the ruins of Chicago as resistance fighters moved silently through the abandoned streets. Each person carried what looked like modified satellite dishes, the new pulse weapons designed by Dr. Chen and now replicated by resistance cells worldwide. Commander Elena Reyes checked her watch. 2:58 a.m. 2 minutes until the coordinated attack would begin across 3 continents. "All teams in position," whispered Lieutenant Rodriguez through the secure comlink. "No sign they suspect anything." Reyes nodded. "Remember, we'll only have seconds of confusion once the pulse hits them. Make every moment count." The Vari command post had once been Chicago's City Hall. Now alien technology covered the historic building, with strange lights glowing from within. 4 Vari guards stood at the entrance, their tall metallic bodies motionless as they surveyed the area through 4-eyed helmets. They looked invincible in their powered armor, weapons ready. They had no idea what was coming. 3, 2, 1. "Now!" Reyes whispered into her comm unit. 20 pulse weapons activated simultaneously, flooding the area with the specific electromagnetic frequency that disrupted Vari neural systems. The effect was immediate and more dramatic than they'd hoped. The alien guards collapsed, their limbs twitching uncontrollably, their personal shields flickered and died. "Move in! Move in!" Reyes shouted, abandoning stealth. The resistance fighters surged forward. Some targeted the fallen guards with conventional weapons, aiming for the weak spots in their armor that Dr. Chen's team had identified. Others rushed into the building, pulse weapons still active. Inside, chaos reigned. Vari soldiers stumbled through hallways, disoriented and vulnerable. For the first time since the invasion, the fearsome aliens seemed mortal, breakable. "Command center secured," came a shout from the second floor. Reyes pushed forward, stepping over fallen aliens. Some were dead, others just incapacitated. The sight of them helpless gave her no pleasure. This was about survival, not revenge. The command center was a mess of alien technology, screens showing data in the Vori's strange angular language. And there in the center lay the prize they'd come for. The regional command core, the central computer that controlled Vari operations across the entire Midwest. "Get the tech team in here now," Reyes ordered. "We have 8 minutes before their backup systems kick in and alert the mothership." As her team worked to disconnect and transport the command core, similar scenes played out in former Beijing and Cairo. 3 simultaneous strikes against major Vari command posts, the first coordinated human offensive of the war. 6 hours later, at the hidden resistance base beneath the Appalachian Mountains, Reyes watched as technicians integrated the stolen Vari technology into human systems. The aliens' neural interfaces wouldn't work with human biology, but their power cells, weapons, systems and shields could be adapted. "Status report," she said, entering the communications hub where operators monitored transmissions from resistance cells worldwide. "Complete success, Commander," responded Officer Lee, unable to hide her smile. "Beijing team reports 94% of objectives achieved with minimal casualties. Cairo team got everything they went for and destroyed what they couldn't carry." On the main screen, intercepted Vari communications showed their forces scrambling to respond. For the first time, there was something new in their tone. Confusion, perhaps even fear. "They never expected us to hit them like this," said Rodriguez, studying the alien chatter. "They thought we were just scattered groups hiding in the ruins. They didn't realize we've been building a global network." Reyes nodded. "The Vari made a critical mistake. They studied our conventional military capabilities but ignored human history. They should have learned what happens when people fight for their homes, for their very existence." In the workshop area, engineers were already attaching Vari shield generators to the Resistance's few remaining tanks and aircraft. The stolen power cells would finally allow them to use these vehicles without fear of detection. The aliens. Technology was being turned against them. "Any word from Dr. Chen?" Reyes asked. "Yes, Commander. His team has analyzed the command core data. They've identified patrol routes for the next 3 weeks, and more importantly, they've cracked part of the Vari communication codes. We can listen in on most of their tactical channels now." Reyes looked around at the busy base, at the faces now filled with hope instead of just grim determination. For months, they had been on the defensive, just trying to survive. Today, everything had changed. "Send word to all cells," she said. "Operation Turning Point was just the beginning. We've shown that the Vari can be hurt, can be beaten. Now we take the fight to them." The aliens had come to Earth expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they had awoken a sleeping giant. Humanity's counterattack had only just begun. The red dust of Mars swirled around Commander Elena Reyes as she stepped out of the airlock. Through her helmet visor, she could see the massive cavern they'd discovered and expanded over the past 3 months. What had once been an empty lava tube was now humanity's secret shipyard, hidden beneath the Martian surface. "Still can't believe we pulled this off," Lieutenant Rodriguez said, walking beside her. "A year ago, getting to Mars would have taken us 9 months. Now we did it in 2 weeks." "Amazing what you can do with stolen alien tech," Reyes replied, allowing herself a small smile. The journey had been the riskiest mission of her life. 3 captured Vari scout ships, modified by Dr. Chen's team to mask their energy signatures, had carried 200 of Earth's best engineers, pilots, and soldiers to the Red Planet. They traveled in the shadow of a solar flare to hide from Vari sensors. Half the crew had been sick from the jury-rigged life support systems, but they'd made it. The results of their labor loomed before them in the cavern. 3 massive ships, unlike anything humans had built before. They weren't sleek or beautiful. Their hulls were a patchwork of Vari metals and earth alloys, studded with weapon systems that looked almost grown rather than built. "Phoenix 1 is ready for systems check," reported Chief Engineer Tanaka. "Over the comm." Weapons, shields, and drive are all online. The largest ship was nearly complete. Its design had been a true collaboration, Vari technology guided by human creativity. The aliens built their ships with neural interfaces that only worked with their four-lobed brains. Humans had replaced these with manual controls and AI assistance. Where the Vari relied on biological components that Earth couldn't reproduce, human engineers had created mechanical alternatives. But the heart of each ship was pure Earth innovation, the pulse cannon. A massive version of the weapon that had turned the tide on the ground, scaled up to target Vari capital ships. "The Vari won't be expecting this," Rodriguez said, staring up at Phoenix 1. "They think they've got us pinned down on Earth while they wait for their reinforcements." Reyes nodded. "That's exactly what we want them to think." Back on Earth, the Resistance had made remarkable progress. After the first coordinated strike 6 months ago, more and more territory had been reclaimed. The Vari, vulnerable to the pulse weapons, had withdrawn to heavily fortified positions around their largest ships. They'd sent urgent messages to their homeworld, calling for reinforcements. Those messages had been intercepted and decoded. The reinforcements were coming, a fleet twice the size of the original invasion force. Earth's newfound advantages wouldn't be enough against such numbers. That's when the Mars plan had been born. If humanity couldn't win a defensive war, they would take the fight to space. Inside the command center, carved from Martian rock and pressurized with a mix of local manufactured oxygen and nitrogen, the leadership team gathered around a holographic display showing Earth orbit. "Latest intel shows 17 Vari capital ships still in position," reported Intelligence Officer Nair. "They're concentrated over their remaining strongholds. Their ground forces are down to about 30% of original strength." Dr. Chen, who had insisted on joining the Mars mission despite the danger, pointed to several blinking dots on the display. "Their defense grid has these weak points. The capital ships maintain formation to cover each other, but if we can separate them—" "That's exactly what we'll do," Reyes said. "Phoenix Squadron will hit them from behind from a direction they aren't expecting any threat, while Earth forces launch a major ground offensive to keep them distracted." The plan was audacious, perhaps even foolhardy. 3 human ships against 17 alien vessels. But the Phoenix ships had been designed with one purpose: to exploit every Vari weakness humans had discovered. "Final preparations complete," Tanaka reported. "All 3 ships are ready for launch." Reyes looked around at the faces of her crew. Some showed fear, others determination. All showed resolve. 6 months ago, the Vari thought they had conquered Earth, she said. They believed their technology made them unbeatable. They never imagined we would take the fight to space so quickly. They never expected humans to be so adaptable. She straightened her shoulders. "Tomorrow we launch. We take back our skies, our orbit, our freedom." The Vari came to Earth looking for an easy conquest. Instead, they're about to learn a painful lesson about humanity. As she spoke, engineers were loading the last supplies onto the Phoenix ships. Hidden beneath the red soil of Mars, humanity's counterattack was ready to take flight. The interrogation. Room was cold and bare. Just a metal table, 2 chairs, and the soft hum of the pulse generator keeping the captured Vari commander's neural system disrupted enough to prevent escape, but not enough to stop communication. Commander Reyes had returned from Mars just hours ago after the successful first strike of Phoenix Squadron against the Vari capital ships. 3 enemy vessels destroyed, the rest scattered and damaged. A victory worth celebrating. So why did she feel uneasy? "Let's try again," Reyes said, keeping her voice calm. "Why attack Earth? Your empire spans dozens of star systems. Our planet couldn't possibly be worth a full-scale invasion." The Vari commander's metallic skin reflected the harsh overhead light. His 4 eyes blinked independently, a sight humans still found unsettling. When he spoke, the translation system converted his clicks and hisses into flat English. "Your weapons are improving," he said, ignoring her question. "You've adapted our technology quickly, quicker than we anticipated." "Answer the question." Intelligence Officer Nayar leaned forward, her patience visibly thinning. The Vari made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You believe you're winning. You believe you've driven us back. Such limited thinking. Reyes was about to respond when the door opened. Dr. Chen entered, his face pale. "Commander, we need to talk, now." Outside the room, Chen handed her a tablet. "We finished decrypting the last batch of Vari transmissions. These were sent to their homeworld 6 months ago when they first arrived." Reyes scanned the translated text. Her blood ran cold as she read. "Is this accurate?" she whispered. Chen nodded grimly. "Multiple sources confirm it. The Vari aren't just conquerors. They're refugees." Back in the interrogation room, Reyes looked at the alien commander with new eyes. "You're running from something." All 4 of the Vari's eyes focused on her at once, finally asking the right question. "What is it? What destroyed your core worlds?" "We call them the Harvesters," the commander said, his voice suddenly weary. "They appeared at the edge of our empire 20 years ago. Massive ships, larger than anything we had ever built. At first we thought they were another spacefaring species, perhaps interested in trade or alliance." He paused, his upper limbs twitching in what humans had learned was a sign of distress. "They weren't interested in communication. They harvest organic matter, all organic matter, from planets they encounter. They convert it into energy and materials to build more of themselves. They're not living beings as you understand them. They're machines with one purpose: consume, replicate, expand." On the tablet, Chen pulled up images captured from Vori, memory banks, massive black ships shaped like jagged arrowheads, entire planets stripped of life, their surfaces scoured down to bare rock. "We fought," the Vari commander continued. "For 15 years we fought. We lost world after world. Our greatest military minds, our most advanced technology. Nothing stopped them. They don't negotiate, they don't retreat. They simply advance, consuming everything in their path." Reyes felt a chill run down her spine. "And now they're coming here?" "They follow the path of least resistance. They follow us, the fleeing survivors. We needed a defensible position to make a stand. Your solar system has resources, a habitable planet with intelligent life that could be utilized." "You mean enslaved?" Naya said sharply. The Vaori's skin rippled in what might have been a shrug. "Better servants than corpses. We came as a mercy, though you wouldn't see it that way. What follows us is far worse, and you've just scattered our defensive fleet, the only thing standing between your world and the Harvesters." As if on cue, the emergency alarm began blaring. A junior officer burst into the room. "Commander!" Long-range sensors are picking up something massive entering the solar system, multiple objects moving at incredible speed. Reyes looked back at the Vari commander. There was no triumph in his alien face, no satisfaction at her shock. Only a resigned weariness she recognized all too well. "How long?" she asked him. 3 of your Earth days, perhaps 4. His 4 eyes blinked slowly. "Now you understand. You've been fighting the wrong enemy, and you've just cleared the path for the real one." As Reyes rushed from the room to organize Earth's defenses, a terrible realization hit her. Humanity had just won its first real victory against the Vari, only to discover they were merely the harbingers of something far worse. The real war was just beginning. The war room buzzed with tension. On one side of the massive table stood human military leaders from around the world. Their faces showed exhaustion and suspicion. On the other side stood tall Vari officers, their metallic skin reflecting the harsh lights, 4-eyed gazes unreadable. Just 2 days ago they had been trying to kill each other. Now they were planning to fight together. Commander Elena Reyes entered the room, followed by Admiral Krex, the highest-ranking Vari on Earth. Conversations immediately died down. The Admiral's presence still made humans uncomfortable. After all, he had given the order that had killed millions in those first devastating strikes. "The Harvester fleet will reach Jupiter's orbit in 26 hours, Reyes announced without preamble. "We need a unified defense plan immediately." On the large screen behind her, satellites showed the approaching threat. 12 massive ships, each one shaped like a jagged black arrowhead. They dwarfed even the largest Vari vessels. "My remaining ships will form the first line of defense," Admiral Krex said, his translated voice flat and mechanical. "We've fought the Harvesters before. We know their attack patterns." "And lost every time," pointed out General Torres, his arms crossed tightly. Why should we trust your strategy now? The Admiral's upper limbs twitched in that strange Vauri gesture that might have been frustration or acknowledgement. Because now we have something we didn't have before. He turned his four eyes toward Dr. Chen, who stood nervously at the edge of the room. Your pulse weapons. The harvesters have no biological components to disrupt, but your scientists have modified the technology in ways we never considered. Dr. Chen stepped forward. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, which was probably true. We've reconfigured the pulse technology to target the specific frequency ranges used by the harvesters. Communication systems. It won't destroy them, but it might disrupt their coordination temporarily. Might, repeated General Torres. That's not very reassuring. It's more than we had against the harvesters on our homeworld, snapped the Admiral. Reyes stepped between them. Both our species face extinction. We don't have time for doubts or old grudges. For the harvesters don't distinguish between humans and Vauri. To them, we're all just organic material to be processed. She brought up the defense plan on the screen. The modified Phoenix ships will join the Vauri fleet in space. Earth's ground-based. Weapons have been enhanced with Vauri technology and will provide backup fire. Our main advantage is that the harvesters don't know about our alliance or our new weapons. As the meeting continued, Reyes found herself standing next to Admiral Krex during a brief break. The alien towered over her, nearly 7 feet tall. Up close, she could see the scars on his metallic skin, evidence of battles fought long before. He came to Earth. Your species adapts quickly, he said suddenly. We studied your history before invading, always fighting each other, yet always innovating through conflict. We thought this made you primitive. We were wrong. Reyes looked up at him, meeting all 4 of his eyes. You attacked us, she said, her voice steady despite the anger still simmering inside her. Watch what happens next. The Admiral made a sound that might have been respect. The harvesters will not expect resistance from a unified planet. They are used to finding divided worlds, species too busy fighting each other to present a coordinated defense. That was your strategy too, Reyes pointed out. Yes, Krex admitted, and you overcame it. Perhaps that is why there is hope now, where there was none for my homeworld. Later that day, Reyes stood at the launch pad watching humans and Vauri working side by side, loading the final weapons onto the Phoenix ships. Lieutenant Rodriguez approached her, confusion clear on his face. I still don't understand, he said, quietly. How do we work with them after everything they did? Reyes watched as a human engineer showed a Vauri technician how they had modified one of the alien power cores. The Vauri's gestures showed clear surprise and what might have been admiration. Because this is what humans do, she replied. We adapt. We survive. Sometimes that means fighting to the last breath. Sometimes it means forming alliances with yesterday's enemies. She looked up at the sky where, invisible to the naked eye, the harvester fleet was approaching. The Vauri came to conquer us. Instead, they may have been the warning we needed to save ourselves, and maybe them too. The uneasy alliance had formed just in time. Tomorrow would show if it was enough to save both species from extinction. The Phoenix 1 shuddered as another energy blast struck its shields. On the main view screen, the massive black shape of a harvester ship loomed, its surface covered with strange, shifting patterns that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Commander Elena Reyes gripped the arms of her command chair as the ship stabilized. Shields holding at 64%, reported Lieutenant Rodriguez. That modified Vauri technology is working better than we hoped. Return fire, Reyes ordered, full spread targeting their communication nodes. The Phoenix 1, humanity's first true warship, unleashed a barrage of weapons that combined Earth's nuclear technology with Vauri energy systems. The hybrid weapons struck the harvester ship, causing portions of its strange hull to fracture and break apart. Direct hit, shouted Weapons Officer Chen. They're showing damage. Around them, the battle for Earth's survival raged across the solar system. The harvesters had arrived 3 days ago with 12 massive ships, each one big enough to swallow a small moon. They had expected to find a weakened Vauri fleet and a helpless planet ripe for harvesting. Instead, they found something unprecedented. 2 species fighting together with technology neither had possessed alone. The modified pulse weapons disrupted the harvesters' coordination. The machines relied on perfect synchronization, Their artificial intelligence linked across all ships, but now they struggled to maintain that connection, making their attacks less precise, less overwhelming. The Jupiter Defense Group reports. 2 Harvester ships disabled, reported Communications Officer Naya. The Mars ambush fleet is engaging 3 more. Admiral Krex stood beside Commander Reyes on the bridge, his tall form rigid with tension. The Vari commander had insisted on joining the Phoenix One for the main assault. Now he studied the tactical display, with all 4 of his eyes. The Harvesters are adapting to our disruption frequency, he warned. They always adapt. It's how. They've survived for millennia. Reyes nodded. That's what we predicted. Lieutenant, signal all ships to begin frequency rotation pattern Delta. Don't give them time to adjust. This had been the core of their defense strategy. Constant change. Where the Vari had fought the Harvesters with rigid traditional military tactics, humans added unpredictability. Ships changed positions randomly. Weapons cycled through different frequencies. Attack patterns shifted mid-battle based on split-second decisions rather than pre-programmed responses. It confused the machine intelligence of the Harvesters. They could analyze and counter any consistent strategy, but this chaotic approach left them vulnerable. 3 of their ships are retreating, Rodriguez announced, disbelief in his voice. They're actually pulling back. A cheer went up from the human crew members. The Vari officers remained silent, but their skin rippled with what Reyes had learned. Was their expression of surprise or strong emotion? Don't celebrate yet, Reyes cautioned. They could be regrouping. The battle continued for hours. The combined human-Vari fleet took heavy losses. 2 Phoenix ships were destroyed. Half the Vari vessels were damaged beyond repair. But for every loss they inflicted, the Harvesters suffered worse. Finally, the moment came. The Harvester. Command ship, crippled by repeated attacks from all sides, began to turn away from Earth. One by one, the remaining Harvester vessels followed suit, accelerating toward the edge of the solar system. They're retreating, Admiral Krex said, his voice carrying an emotional tone Reyes had never heard from a Vari before. In all our battles across 20 systems, I've never seen the Harvesters retreat. On the bridge of the Phoenix One, humans and Vari stood together watching as their enemy fled. The tactical display showed the damaged but triumphant Allied fleet regrouping. Earth, visible as a blue jewel in the distance, remained safe. Admiral Krex turned to Commander Reyes. His metallic face couldn't form human expressions, but there was something like wonder in his 4-eyed gaze. In all our history, he admitted, we've never encountered a species like yours, one that grows stronger from conflict, rather than being broken by it. We believed your division into nations and factions made you weak. We were wrong. That diversity of thought, of approach, it saved us all. Reyes looked at the retreating Harvester ships on the screen, then back to the Vari admiral who had once been humanity's greatest enemy. That's humanity for you, she said with a grim smile. Attack us at your peril. As the Phoenix One led the fleet back toward Earth, Reyes knew this wasn't truly an ending. The Harvesters would return someday, perhaps with new adaptations to counter today's tactics. The alliance with the Vari would face challenges as both species learned to coexist. But humanity had proven something important, not just to the Vari or the Harvesters, but to themselves. When pushed to the brink, they didn't break. They innovated. They adapted. They survived. And sometimes they even taught ancient spacefaring civilizations a thing or two about fighting back.